Hey, what's up everyone? Here's our review for the Krypton premiere, which just debuted right now on Syfy. So obviously Krypton was announced a few years ago actually. It's produced by David S. Goyer, who wrote Man of Steel and the first draft of BVS, is definitely involved in a lot of DC projects in the past. Obviously he helped with Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, and he was involved with Zack Snyder's DC universe as well. Now this is being produced by Warner Brothers Television and distributed by Syfy, if I remember correctly, and essentially the premise for the show is that it's set around 200 years before the birth of Kal-El, who we know as Superman, and the eventual destruction of planet Krypton. The show follows Superman's grandfather named Seg-El, and we kind of see his plight in the show. We see that the family of El has been disgraced, and that essentially they're living on the bottom part of Krypton, which is, you get this sort of political or pseudo-political elements where it's like the rich and the poor being divided by the top half of Krypton and the lower half. Basically the people in lower half live in like slums, they have poor air, they have the fight for credits and everything. It's just definitely a seedier part of the planet, and the people that live above have ranks, their different house families and everything. They have their glyphs that we see in other Superman films, you know, the House of Zod, the House of El, and so on and so forth. So overall my thoughts on the pilot, it's okay, but it could definitely use improvement, and one of the big problems with it is actually, funny enough, that it relies too heavily on the Superman character. Now on face value you'd think that the show's just going to take place on Krypton and just kind of explore the planet itself, and maybe we would get some references to characters and things. I was actually pretty excited when they announced that Brainiac was going to be on the show because it made perfect sense. You know, Brainiac is a character that is associated with Krypton in the past comic books and things. I thought it would have been pretty cool if they showed a version of Doomsday on the show, because he does have origins with Krypton, and there's, you know, a wide variety of things that the show could have explored, but for some reason it hinges a lot of the plot elements on the Superman character, because we have the character of Adam Strange that's introduced into the show. I think he's going to be somewhat of a recurring character, because, spoiler warning here, but essentially the plot of the show, or what we find out is the main kind of meat of the story, is that Brainiac is coming to take Krypton, that he's doing that because he wants to stop Superman from ever being born, thus making him disappear in, I guess, the future timeline so he can take over the Earth and etc, etc. So it's kind of like a Back to the Future thing, where it's like Superman's grandfather has to stop Brainiac and make sure all these things happen as they were supposed to, so that Superman and Clark Kent is born, and so on and so forth. Honestly, as for the show itself though, it's got great production value, it's got really high name actors in it actually, a lot of people from like Game of Thrones and Sons of Anarchy. It definitely feels like a more adult show as well. There's a lot of adult themes, there's blood and violence, there's adult language, I guess you could say, seedier language definitely than like the typical CW show or something like that we've seen from DC in the past. And all in all, I think that there is definitely potential here, but I think that if they pull back on the whole Superman angle and kind of just explore Krypton itself, that could be much more interesting. You know, have it be more of a sci-fi show exploring the planet of Krypton and kind of the society, rather than trying to hinge on this whole time travel thing with Adam Strange and Brainiac. But who knows what will happen. Hopefully the show turns out okay, and we can look back on it as the season wraps up. But anyways, drop your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you guys think of the premiere for Krypton, and will you be tuning in for the subsequent episodes for the rest of the season? And for the latest updates on everything in the DC universe, be sure to subscribe to Hybrid Network. Thank you guys again for checking this video out. If you want to get even more updates from us, check out our social media platforms, our website for news and editorials, and if you want to see our content improve and help us out, donate to us on our Patreon and you can get exclusive rewards.